Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, often stylized as Auras, are fantastic video games. The pair successfully renew and revamp the superb originals, Ruby and Sapphire, into something quite unique and fun within the Pokémon series. The remakes added a ton of new features, including the last full national Pokédex that included all Pokémon up until that point, loads of online play opportunities, and a stunning post-game quest with a thrilling finish. The games also showed a lot of love and attention to detail for the small bits and pieces, in a way that made the games feel rich and full. They also benefited from the experience of developing X and Y first, which, in this gamer's humble opinion, were tragically subpar, and the developers used that experience to make Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire better. You could fly to routes, you could catch loads of legendary Pokemon in the post-game, there was a functioning global trade station, hidden bases were back, there was just so much to sink so much time into, and the game felt truly rewarding to play. These are, in my opinion, the best direct remakes Pokemon has done. Yeah, I know Heart Gold and Soul Silver lovers, I know, your one is better, make your comment defending the level curve and just move on. We're talking about Auras today. Unfortunately, I do have one lingering gripe about Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and that's the most awful bait that Game Freak ever set out for fans at that point in time. It's the lack of a Battle Frontier facility. For those unfamiliar, the Battle Frontier is a battling area first introduced in Pokémon Emerald that allowed the player to compete in a series of battling challenges with different goals and styles of battle. The player got battle points for succeeding in these challenges, which they could then exchange for rewards such as technical machines, vitamins, hold items, and other such goods. This type of facility includes the typical battle tower that appeared in Pokémon Crystal, Ruby, and Sapphire, where you simply fight your way through with a team of 3, but also the Battle Factory, where you could rent Pokemon for use, the Battle Dome with a tournament-style bracket for trainers to battle through, and the Battle Palace, where Pokemon fight without the commands of their trainers. Do well enough in any of these challenges and you could fight a special kind of boss called a Frontier Brain, who was extra challenging to beat and in all likelihood is a dirty cheater. If you did succeed against the cheating AI, you would get a load of battle points and a special symbol embossed on your trainer ID. This wonderful facility was included in Platinum, Heart Gold, and Soul Silver to great fanfare. People love the Battle Frontier, no doubt. They don't like the stinky battle tower with its vanilla approach to battling and want the variety and sometimes bizarre approach of the Battle Frontier. Personally, I'm a really big fan of the Battle Factory. I love selecting a somewhat random team from the list and seeing how far I can go without having to actually breed and train my own Pokemon with competitive movesets and effort values. I'm sure everyone has their own favourites from the Frontier. To come back to Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, the Frontier was not included, and instead the Battle Resort has taken its place. The resort offers a wide variety of things to do, but ultimately only one battle facility. The battle facility is the Battle Maison, which they copied and pasted directly over from X and Y to Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. It's basically a kind of setting for the Battle Tower format that has existed since Pokémon Crystal, with some upgrades along the way. There are all of the historical battle formats that have been developed since Gen 3, including triple battles, multi-battles, and rotation battles. I actually think it's kind of a downgrade from just a regular battle tower, since the setting really isn't as cool. In the battle tower, you theoretically work your way up the tower until you reach the top, battling your way through dozens of trainers. Moving from room to room in this metallic space feels pretty cool and adds to the prestige of the place. On the other hand, in the Battle Maison, it's just a long line of dorks entering the room while you stand still and defeat them. You don't go anywhere. You climb 0 towers. You just sit idly, battling away like a celebrity stuck signing autographs until someone crazy comes in and security has to escort you out. Also, the winner takes all system of getting battle points after 7 battles is no longer present, which personally just does not sit right with me. You do start getting 2 battle points per win from 11 wins onwards, which is nice, but I like the segmented gauntlet style approach of old. Don't get me wrong, the battle tower format can be tedious as hell. I enjoy battling as much as the next person who's played every generation of Pokemon games, I really do. But sometimes straight up singles or doubles formats without any variation can get tedious. And I want to try something different, maybe where more RPG elements play a factor, like the Battle Pike, or using Pokemon I'd never used before, like the Factory. These would be even more enhanced with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire's beautiful 721 Pokemon Pokédex. While the Battle Tower or the Battle Maison is fun, it's not as fun as my opponent or me using essentially randomized teams in the same format, or overworld NPCs having the ability to status my Pokemon. It was just kind of lazy of them to drag the Maison over from X and Y. For games where they spent a lot of care and effort making all of the little details sing and the intro cutscenes so cute, and the bells and whistles just that much better, it really was lazy of them to not even think about how they might enhance the Battle Maison or port the Frontier to something new. They really just copied and pasted it right over from X and Y, and in doing so, replicated some of X and Y's subpar quality right into an otherwise fantastic game. It would have been the cherry on top to be able to use the Battle Frontier facilities, but instead we end up with the Battle Midzone. Truly though, the most egregious, offensive, downright disrespectful thing about the Battle Maison and the omission of the Frontier is the bait. For those not familiar, the Battle Resort, the island that previously hosted the Battle Frontier in Emerald, has a small model version of the Battle Tower laid out as a kind of advertisement saying, "Coming soon." Now, the actual intent of the bait here is that the Battle Resort was intended to be seen as a predecessor to the Battle Tower and eventually the Battle Frontier. Thus, in a continuity sense, the Battle Frontier couldn't actually exist yet, since it's still in development as an idea. This is confirmed by the fact that a man upstairs in the Battle Maison says that he is scouting talent for Frontier brains for Scott and has already found the Tower brain. Unfortunately, this kind of context was mostly lost on the target market of the video game, children, and thus the model of the Battle Tower and the mention of a coming soon type message for the Frontier just read as a taunt instead of a nice piece of world building. Some people at the time suggested it was a hint for coming DLC that would place the Battle Frontier in the game, but knowing Nintendo at that point in time and at all points in time, it was never to be and could never be. Instead, we were left with the resort. The resort is by no means a bad place or bad post-game content. On the contrary, I think it's really good, and a lot of cool stuff for the player to get stuck into post-Delta episode is around here. But the bait and switch of a coming soon Frontier where none will ever exist was just a bit insulting, in-game explanation or not. I'm personally still a little sad, as this video probably attests. As I said earlier, I already think these are Pokemon's best remakes, and a Frontier would just put them over the top. Heart Gold and Soul Silver fans would have nothing left to defend. It would be without question. Sadly, those fans will live on shilling for their Baron Kanto post-game in their mid-rocket segment. That's all I had, folks. Tell me, what facilities would you put in a Gen 6 Battle Frontier? Let me know in the comments below. I always have plenty of other projects cooking up, so subscribe to be informed of when new stuff is out, and thank you for watching.